Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the Flying Goat Farm podcast. I thought I would do something a little bit different today, and I was going to talk to you about some gift ideas for crafty friends. Here's what's happening on the farm. So maybe in the background you can hear a mower going. We have our farm helper here today, and he's just mowing down some of the dead grasses to make way for new growth underneath. And we did this to our big hay field a couple weeks ago, and the grass looks so beautiful down there. It's all nice and green. I think we're going to get some rain early next week, I think, before Thanksgiving. So this is a perfect time to do that. So the grasses will get they'll be able to grow a little bit before we start getting into the really cold part of the winter. And all the animals are doing great. They're still out there grazing. Pretty soon we will have to start feeding them hay. We have plenty of hay from this year, so that won't be a problem. So here we go, talking about gift ideas for crafty friends. So I think I've told many of you that most of my family is on the West Coast, and so I have to be thinking about Christmas presents early. I try to get them out the first or second week of December, and with things running so slowly at the post office, it's really been on my mind lately. What am I going to do? And really, in this lockdown, it's like, what do you really need? You know, have you gone through that yet? A lot of people have been, doing the Marie Kondo stuff, kind of purging what doesn't give them joy anymore. So what is it that we truly want to give to our friends, to our families? What is it that we would like to receive? So I've got 10 different kind of baskets or bags. If you're like me, I'm the worst wrapper in the world, so I kind of like putting things into a basket or a gift bag or something like that. So I have 10 different ideas for that kind of thing. So my first one, I'm calling it Sock It To 'em. Do you have a friend who's always wanted to do socks, to knit socks, but never had the gumption to do that? Or maybe they're thinking, well, it's time for me to get working on some socks. It's a good wintertime project. It's nice, and it can be portable if you're going anywhere. So here's some ideas that you could put into that basket or bag. I really like having nice pointy cable needles, not cable needles, circular needles that I like to do my socks 2 at a time from the cuff down. So having a really nice pair of needles, either double pointed or circular needles like Chaigu or Haya, something that is really quality, that is like a size 1 or a size 2, can be used exclusively for making socks. If you want to learn how to do socks 2 at a time, you can also slip a book in there. There is a book called Socks 2 at a Time. And also I have an electronic e-course that is a 4-part e-course that takes you from casting on to binding off and how to do it 2 at a time on a circular needle. After you knit those socks, you're going to need to have some sock blockers. So, having a pair of those is really good. And if this person wants to make socks for their children or socks for their husband, you might want to give them more than one, medium-sized pair. You can look at the different sizes. And, slip in a couple of skeins of really nice sock yarn. Of course, at Flying Goat Farm, we have beautiful fingering weight yarns that can be used for knitting socks. We have our Kori sock base, our Chinook sock base, which has the cashmere in it, and we have our sparkly sock yarn. 3 different sock yarns. And I just recently added Trasna Light, which is a fingering weight yarn. It is not a super wash, it is a farm yarn. And also, if this person is a little more advanced knitter, you might want to get them the book Custom Socks by Kate Atherley. And it's a really fun book, and she takes you through how to measure your feet and how to get the socks that are going to fit your feet. Because let's face it, everybody has different feet, right? I know with my feet, I can't do a regular decrease on my toe because my feet are more, shall I say, hobbit looking and not pointy. And so she talks about all those different things, and she has some great sock patterns in there as well. So sock it to them for your favorite person who wants to knit socks. How about claws for your paw lovers, right? So here you can, of course, make a basket that would have a pattern for a little dog sweater, or I didn't find any cat sweaters, but I did find some fun cat stuffed toys, and I have a picture of one of these here, and I thought that would be really fun if you had a person who just loves cats, and they could maybe make a replica of their cat that would sit in the window that would be made out of yarn. It would be really fun. Both of those patterns are made with a worsted weight yarn. So our Lively or our Synergy or even our Trasna would be a really nice yarn for those perfect little pets that we have at home. You can also make pet toys by needle felting them. And you can hear my cat attacking my chair here. She always comes in when I'm doing my podcast. You can make really cute cat toys with putting catnip inside and then felting around it. You could put one of those the plastic toys with the bells in them inside and felt around it. Pretty easy to do with a needle, with a felting needle and some roving. Or you can buy those too. And for a dog lover, there's tons of cute dog treats that are holiday based. You know, like they look like cookies, and the ones that I have pictured here are actually flavored with gingerbread. My dogs would love anything that was a treat. So that's claws for the paw lovers. And then what about for your friends that are new to knitting? You know, they've watched you knit, they love what you're doing, and now they want to take the plunge. We have time still. We're going to be, in this isolation for several more months, I think. And so here's a great basket to get for someone who is new. I'm calling it Gateway to Obsession because y'all know what I mean about that. So if it's somebody that's totally new to knitting, I would suggest giving a set of interchangeable cable needles. I keep calling them cable needles, circular needles. I love my interchangeable ones. They fit in a small package, and you just change the tips, and you can have different lengths of the cables, and it's really nice, compact. You get a lot of bang for your buck. And also you could give them a gauge tool. You know, we all hate to do those gauges, right? But they're so important to do. And lots of the gauge tools have a place to count your gauge. They also have a way to measure the size of your needles, that kind of thing. It's a really cute stocking stuffer. And stitch markers. You can never have too many stitch markers, right? There's so many that are cute, that are handmade, or you can even get a whole box of multicolored ones that are just really fun. And then put in some really exciting yarn that is going to be that's going to really inspire your friend to start knitting. What I have showing here is my Sparkly Holiday collection. And that's a fingering weight yarn. You might want to give something like a Trasna or a Lively that's a worsted weight. It might be a little bit easier to work with when you're just starting out. That's Gateway to Obsession. I love mysteries. Do you guys love mysteries? So if you have a friend who really loves mysteries, and you can make a bag for them or a basket for them as well. So I am thinking there's like 5 or 6 different authors that write mystery novels that are set in a yarn store, or set with something to do with knitting, crocheting, spinning, and weaving. All you have to do is look those up online and find some of those. You could also sign your friend up, and maybe you do this together to do a mystery knit along. Those can always be fun and daring and challenging as well. I know that Stephen West always has great mystery knit-alongs. I think Casapinka does too, and those could be really fun. Also, stitch markers. I just went to Etsy and put in mystery stitch markers, and there's lots of fun artisan stitch markers with different kinds of charms that are kind of mysterious. And again, how about some fun yarn to put in there? What I have pictured here is my viral sparkly collection. So it's the corona, the antibody, and the vaccine. And that's a mystery, right? So that's why I put it there. It's a mystery just how soon we will get out of our houses and back to real life. And there's a lot of my friends are really into history and historical novels. And so this one I'm calling Blast from the Past. So in this basket, you could put in some great historical fiction. I just pulled up some Philippa Gregory. She's very well known for her work with English historical fiction. And another great book is by Alice Starmore. It's called Tudor Roses. And there's several really great patterns in there, and each of them is named for one of the Tudors, and there's a story about the person that goes along with the pattern. It's a gorgeous book, and there's some really great looking knits in there as well. And as far as like Blast from the Past, again on Etsy you could get some wooden buttons, or even some clay buttons, because those would be something that would have been made in the past, and some wooden tools. It could be wooden needles, it could be wooden darning needles like I have shown here. There's so many great handmade things that you can find on Etsy that would make a great gift or stocking stuffer. And of course, putting some yarn in, I put what I have shown here is my notorious RBG colorway. She is now in our past, and she added so much to our lives, and so that's kind of my homage to a great woman, and it would be nice as a gift. That's Blast from the Past. So this one I called No Elf on the Shelf. I know a lot of you who are parents or grandparents really do hate that elf. But this one was based on people who might be fantasy lovers or fairy lovers, paranormal kind of novels like I do. My favorite author of all time is Alice Hoffman. And I love that every one of her stories has something that is either a part of a myth or part of something paranormal. Her most recent books are like The Rules of Magic. She wrote Practical Magic. Her books are just great. Well, she and her cousin did a knitting book that's called Fairy Knitting. And again, it has great short stories, kind of little vignettes that are all, they're either based on a fairy tale, based on a myth, based on some old story. that Alice has written. And then her cousin, Lisa, wrote the patterns. And so it's a really great book. I was lucky enough a couple years ago at Rhinebeck to be able to get one of those and get it autographed. It's one of my prized possessions. And you could put in flower stitch markers. There's really cute like butterfly wing stitch markers on Etsy. Even, fairy shaped or like Tinkerbell shaped stitch markers. I have yarn pictured here too. Our Zephyret is just a really luscious, lovely yarn that would make a wonderful gift for anyone. It's our baby alpaca, cashmere, and silk yarn. Comes in wonderful array of colors. And what about the kids zone? Do you have some crafty kids in your life? I know that when I was teaching second and third grade, oh my gosh, the boys just wanted to learn how to knit, and they wanted to learn how to crochet, and they were fascinated. Whenever I am demonstrating spinning at a farmer's market or a fair, kids of all ages are just fascinated with that machine. And so there's lots of kids out there that could benefit and might really love learning how to knit or crochet. So again, in this little basket, you could put in a kid's crochet or knitting book. I think you would start with something that was at least a worsted weight yarn. So our Lively or our Trazana or our Synergy would be beautiful for that. They can get started making some fingerless mitts. They could make some, even a simple hat. You can start that as a square and sew it together, so you don't have to do it in the round. And put in some kid-friendly needles in there that are probably a little bit bigger for little hands. And perhaps you put in a coupon in there for knitting lessons, even if it's something by Zoom, if that's the only way that you can see each other, to get together on Zoom and knit together. That would be a really special time. And what about anybody who's a spinner out there or wants to learn how to spin? So there's a couple of great books out there. I put in Yarnitecture, which is by Julian Moreno, and it's a great book that basically teaches you how to make the yarn that you want to make because you have a project in mind. And if somebody is a little bit more experienced, you might want to get them a art yarn kind of book. I put in Spin Art by J.C. Boggs. There's some great art yarn books out there, and put in a nice roving or two that would be something that maybe they wouldn't pick for themselves. We have Blueface Luster roving, we have alpaca roving, and we have Polworth silk roving. And that Polworth silk is so nice to spin with, and it would be a really luscious kind of Christmas present. Also, I was thinking a nice orifice hook. There's so many beautiful ones that are artisanally made. I know that I keep wanting to buy one for myself. You can also get them a nice spindle from either Bosworth Spindles, makes great ones, or the Spanish Peacock. That would be a really nice gift. And of course, there are gauge tools for spinning as well that will show you, kind of what wraps per inch, like how big of a yarn are you making, what is the twist on the yarn, and so that's always nice to have put on your spinning wheel. If you are really a good relative or a really good friend, you can consider, getting an electric or an e-spinner. They're coming down in price these days, and that might be a really nice gift to have. Or if you're listening to this so that you can, tell your friends, your significant other, your family. This is what I would really like to have. Put an e-spinner down if you're a spinner, because they are really fun to use. And then finally, for your favorite hooker. Now I have to say, I do not crochet. I can chain stitch, and that's about it. But I know that Tunisian crochet is really big right now. So you might want to put in this basket, put in a book on Tunisian crochet. The needles, or the hook needle thing for Tunisian crochet, is a little bit different. So you might want to include the appropriate tool for that. There's also beautiful freeform crochet books that are out there. And so that might be a nice choice as well. And then, I know that I can't have too many knitting needles. So can you really have too many hooks? So what I have on my screen right here is some beautiful, like, rainbow colored hooks. And they're a little bit ergonomic so that they fit your hand a little bit better and relieve some of the hand strain. And of course, as with any of these gifts, you could put in some yarn for that. And I have on here our Tresna Light, which is a fingering weight that is made from our sheep. Now, if none of those floated your boat, we also do gift cards. So all you have to do is go to our web store and search gift card. You can put in any denomination, and then the person that you are buying for can pick out what they would like. And that's always a nice thing, especially if you're not physically close and you're not exactly sure what it is that they would want. So I want to thank you for joining me today to talk about gifts for your favorite crafty people. Remember that you can always find us on our website at www.flyinggoatfarm.com, on our Instagram and our Facebook, and during my Thursday Thrums Facebook Live Thursdays at 1 p.m. So until I see you in person or virtually, happy making.